Good morning, everyone. How are you today? It's a lot cooler, so I'm a lot happier. 103 is a bit much for me. All right, so just waiting for the computer to catch up as always. And while that is doing that, this is the current catalog. And I'm on page 17, which is the Cozy Up Scrapbooking Kit. And one of my customers liked this page and wanted to do it, and then I made a companion page to go with it. That's how all this came about. And I thought I had all these stickers, but I did not. So here's what I did. I'll show you the pages first. Let me just see why I'm not seeing me. Excuse me so much. Okay, there we are. Alright, so let's, as always, thank you for shopping with me. And let's move this up just a little bit so that way you can see. Alright, so here's the page that I mimicked. And I didn't have the book stickers, so I just used the books that was from the stamp set. Didn't have all these little stickers here, so I made those up. I didn't have the leaf stickers, so I found a leaf that was similar. I didn't have the glasses sticker, so I just cut it out of the paper, which was this paper. So I just cut out a pair of glasses that was close to the bottom. Okay. And then put some accessories on, of course. So that's the first page. And what I'm talking about today is how to color these elements in. Okay. So that's page number 1. And this is the companion page that I made. That needs a little more glue. So this is all one stamp. So I just masked it off with some, let's see, washi tape, or some of our masking tape would work great for that. Sticky note works good for that. So you just have your stamp and you literally put the sticky note over the top of it, ink it up, take the sticky note off and stamp with it, and then do the reverse. So that's how I got those two. I needed to add some kind of a little bit of stuff, so a little bit more of that to match, and all of this. So hopefully, let's see if you can see them all together, just barely. I'll leave that there for a minute so you can look at it. Okay. And so I made this little cluster. So my thought was, you know, you kind of start here, you come here. I wanted you to come here and then exit off the page. So, alright. So let's put those up there for now. Get rid of this. I've got my books and I stamped some images. And I'm also going to show you quickly before I do that some of this, which is just some stitching, but I have a couple of tips. So a black pen for that one and a white jelly roller for this one. And I'm gonna bring the camera down, so close your eyes for a minute. So hopefully you can hear me better and see me better. What I'm doing, let's see. Let's go all the way down. Oops, sorry. Tighten that up so it doesn't wiggle around too much. Alright, there we go. Hopefully I can see something. Alright, I'm going to sit down. And if you're out there joining me, say hi. My holder for my phone doesn't allow me to see too much, but sometimes I can see something on one side or the other. Alright, so this is just a journaling pen. And I have found, I mean, it's a round circle, right? And you're drawing straight lines. So I found where my arm kind of made, if you will, a little bit of a curve, and then I just rotated to where that was, so my arm, my hand is in the same spot to kind of give you that same, I don't know what to call it, roundedness, to give you that same memory muscle maybe. It's just where I found that I could best mimic all the way around the same kind of stitch, if you will. That's what I'm going to say. That's what we're doing. Okay? So you just go all the way around that. Same thing for the white. And this is, I know it's not a circle, but I had this shape in there and I thought, well, let's roll with it. So again, I'm going to find that spot. And this one, you got to kind of get it going. This is a little bit more forgiving because it's more like a little, you know, it's a jelly roller, so it's more like a paint, if you will. Keep in mind, keep your fingers off of the edge because it does take a little bit of time to dry. Make sure, you can't really see what I'm doing. Try to move my hand out of the way a little bit. So I'm just finding where it's the easiest for me to make that kind of little, and so it doesn't become a super straight line, if you will. So I'm just kind of moving it around, and when I get to somewhere I've already been, I just come in with my hand a little bit. There we go. And practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So there's that. All right, now let's do some coloring. All right, now I pulled out my colored pencils, and here's the ones that we're using, okay? And the first thing I do is put them light to dark. And the red's kind of there, okay? Light to dark. And then I make a little swatch, which does two things. It shows me the color, and it flattens down the tip of my pencil because it's much easier to get a soft, smooth coloring with a flat edge to your pencil. Then I put them in order. This way I can kind of, at a glance, I know which color is which. And it's a good way to, you know, you can check your colors out, see what you want. So there we go, okay? So for this one, and then when I use a pencil, I make a hole with my pencils where it goes, okay? So I believe that, I'm trying to look at my colors over here. It's a brown. Yes, I think it's this one. All right, so when we go to color, I have a little bit of a soft edge, and then I also on the other side have a stronger point, if you will, or semi-point, and that's going to enable me to get a darker color, okay? So I'm just going around, pretty heavy pressure to get that darker color. And I'm also going to put it here. Alright, so that's where we start. Now, I'm going to kind of do like old school coloring that you outline stuff, and I'm not going to push as hard as I did here. I'm going to lighten up my stroke a little bit. I'm just going to go over all these little lines. And then you notice I'm doing the straight ones first, or the longer lines. I'm going to color in those little spots here that are colored. Now coloring is kind of like layering with the colored pencils, because you can use one pencil and get several shades out of it, if you will. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to try and use my softer edge and a lot lighter touch to do, forgot one, to do this little edge, okay? So it's not giving me a real strong line, it's giving me a softer edge, if you will. Okay? Okay, this part here and this, oh, that's part of it. This part here is part of the book. So I always say go in light, you can always add a little more, okay? Now on these pages we're going to go super light, okay? And I'm not going to go straight across like this, I'm going to kind of follow the arc. And I am just super lightly, barely giving that any color. You can just barely see it, but it's on that flattened point, so it gives me a smoother look. And if I didn't quite have a smooth look to begin with, you just go over it, like I'm doing here, until you get a smooth look. Very light pressure, smooth look. Now this one, a lot of times I will go in the middle of it, so I'm not quite to the top coloring and I'm not quite to the bottom, but I just get kind of a nice coloring there and then go back and finish this up. Okay, we're not done with this part, so it's okay. It's kind of like the first layer, and try not to cross over too much. Sometimes there's coloring that you would like to do that the crossover helps, and I will show you that on the book. So I'm not going to color in all of this, so you can kind of see half and half what it looks like. All right. Now to add a little bit more depth, we're going to go back to these little pieces that I put this way. I'm still using the flat part of my pencil, okay, but I'm just going to push a little bit harder to soften the edge of this harsh line I made, and then just ever so slightly kind of blend it out. I'm not going clear to the edge, and see, let's see if you can see that. See where this is more of a straight line and two different colors, and this is more blended out to about here before it softens up. Let me make sure I'm on camera. So I'll do that with this piece a little bit bigger. So again, let me make sure you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to find that flat edge again, and I'm just going to draw it out and blend that little bit of a, I don't know, lip that I put in there, and then blend it out a little more. Not all the way to the end, just so you get a little softer look. And if you've got a harsh line, just keep kind of blending it, and it should take it out. And if you want a little bit more, I want a little bit darker, so it defines it just a smidge more, and come out a little bit with it. And that's how I took this to this, but I still didn't color over that first soft coloring, if you will. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now put that pencil back in line, we'll pick up the red one, and I'll show you how I did this coffee cup. So here is a close-up of the coffee cup again, so you can kind of see what's going on. If I can get it in the middle of the screen, there we go. And you'll notice, let me try and hold this and do this at the same time. Okay, let's put this back in the middle. Alright, you'll notice that here is darker and here is darker, and there's very little in there, and these are darker. Okay, so I know that I want some strong color. Basically, I'm trying to get this cup to look, instead of totally flat, to look like it has a little bit of depth or shape, or you know, that half moon look. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to give this a really dark coloring here, okay, and then I'm going to extend that down to here, and as I go out, I am just softly, very softly coloring. So heavy here, softer here, and I'm going to kind of overdo this one with the harsh and the other, so you can see. So I would blend this out more, but I just want you to see kind of what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And then I would blend out this edge a little bit more, but leave this super, super light. Okay? So we'll go down here. And then the little circles, I just heavily color those in. And you can either push super hard, but not too hard that you break your pencil tip, or you can just sit there and go over and over and over, and it will build up the color. Now, I'm no expert, I'm just showing you what I do, okay? So the same thing on the cup handle, lightly color it, and then where you want to have a little bit more color, which I think would be down here at the bottom, I'm going to give that darker, and then I'm just going to kind of fade it out, leaving that top a little lighter. Same thing on here. You could totally just color this in lightly like this. I mean, super, super light. I am barely touching the paper with the pencil. Super, super light. Okay? And I'm not going to go over that middle area again. I might a little because I did it really light, but I wanted you to see. And then, and I don't always make it super straight, kind of a little bit of scratchy lines, if you will, or areas where it's in and out, you know, will make it look better. Okay, so I've got this heavy layer here, right? And then I'm just going to take it and blend it out a little bit more. So as I'm blending, I'm going over the dark, and then I'm lightening up, lightening up, lightening up. Every time I go towards the center, lighter and lighter and lighter with the pencil. Okay? And if you have to, you can go back and add a little stronger color if you didn't get it dark enough, and then blend it out, lighter and lighter. Okay? And then I would go in and I would put, I don't know, coffee color, whatever your coffee color or tea color is. And again, you can do it light in the middle and darker on the edges. Or you could do it just dark on one, like the back part is lighter and the front part is darker. And that's how I get my cup to look a little more realistic, a little more depth to it. Let me go in and blend this out just a little bit. So I'm just super lightly adding a little bit of color. Just to ever so slightly blend that out. Okay? I hope this helps you. I hope you'll try it. If you need a little darker, then just go over it and push a little harder. Okay? But you also notice that I'm not doing it up and down. I'm kind of following where I want the curve of how I want the cup to look curved. Okay? Because it's curved, it's not straight across. I mean, the first one I did kind of straight, but then I kind of followed the line of the cup, if you will. Okay? Alright, put that back. And the leaves, I went and found some leaves, and they were actually from this set here, which is a card making 016. So this is the Cozy Up card making workshop. That's the only way that you can get that leaf, but it mimicked the one in the catalog. And for rosemary cardstock, the Vintage Blue blend works really well to mimic that color. Now, you wouldn't think that you would start at the tip, but you just find what works for you. Okay? And muscle memory is a great way to do your coloring. So I am going to turn this so it's relatively the same spot. I've got very little pressure. When I notice that there's a kind of a not a nice point on my pen, then I will rotate my pen to keep my pen from going flat on one side. Okay, so I did those all the same. Then you'll notice that I will turn it around, and again, it's that muscle memory of the more you do it, the better you get, and the quicker you can be. And there you go. And that is pretty close to, sorry, rosemary. Okay, so now let's move on to the books and how I did those. And then we will be done. Alright, so here's our coloring. And here's another look at the books. And I wanted to kind of show you how I got, like, how I did this. So we'll start with this book here, which is the, and I used this medium color, yes, this one here for this, the pages of the book. Okay, so again, we find our flat point, or make one, and I am going to just ever so lightly, and this time I don't mind if there's some if it's not totally smooth, if it looks like it has some pages in there, and it's just super light to begin. Okay, you can barely see it, and I didn't go all the way to the edge, and you don't always have to. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give it a little bit darker. Okay, and then I'm really going to give it some dark, so I'm going to go right here. I'm still not pressing that hard, and again, follow the shape. Don't make it straight because the book is curved, so curve it with the book. Okay, like that. Makes it look more like a book. Okay, and then I have to turn it to where it works for me, and hopefully you can see. I'm going to turn my pen or my pencil a little bit so I get a little bit more of the harsher lines. And I'm just going to add some little strokes, little quick ones that look kind of like the page. You know, the pages are individual. And then I'm going to go back, find my flat end, or my, you know, my soft end again, my flat, and kind of just gently blend it so it's not quite so stark of a contrast. And I'm coming out a little bit more just to kind of blend that out. And now I'm going to get crazy on you. I'm going to take my sharp point, and I kind of want to mimic some pages so it looks more like a book. Okay? And if you get too dark, then you just make a little bit darker here and blend it out. And that kind of mimics the pages, if you will. So I've got my very light first, and then I gave it the little, follow the pattern of the book, the arch of the book, and then gave it some darker lines to kind of be the spine of a book, if you ever go look at a book. And then I blended it out, and I probably blended it out a little too much for those little lines, so we'll put those back just a little bit, and then blended it out. And then I took the sharp edge and gave it kind of some pages. So that way it's not just flat. If you just colored this in and said, oh, that looks good, it's a book. So see how much more realistic this looks than that. And I'll leave that there for you to see for a second. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you is kind of how to make, you know, the spine kind of curves, right? So how do you get that look on a flat book, right? So on this spine, I'm going to go with a darker color so that way you can see it. So I'm going to kind of outline like you did when you were in preschool, so you don't go outside of the lines, right? And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to do some half circles, if you will, like this. Okay? Half circles all the way down, leaving some white even, it's okay. Pushing fairly hard. Okay? And that looks kind of funky. Now this is the time where I'm going to go over it slightly, okay, just to color it in, and then see how that looks more rounded as opposed to if I had just colored it flat. And hopefully you can see the difference of that. And if you lose some of it, just go back and put some more in, a little bit stronger, and then still blend it out. It's hard to pick up. And see how that just kind of, it looks more like a book now rather than this flat. Okay. What else can I show you on the books? I think that's about it. Let's see. So practice your coloring. Here, I'll bring in the whole books again. And this one really should have just a pinch more shading because it's a little dark. There we go. Okay. And you can see over here, I just used the one color marker, really dark dots. I kind of put a line around it so it's darker, and then filled it with lighter. On this book here, let me show you that. Find my orange. So on this book here, I made the I don't know, the cross, the raised up binding bits dark. Okay. Make sure you can see me. And then I went and did the top and the bottom dark, and I curved like the book would be. I made that kind of circular. Okay, I'll show you that. So see how it's rounded. And then I just filled it in lightly. And that's how you, again, it looks like a book. You could pick up a little bit more so than if you just flat colored it. And you'll notice I went this way with it rather than going this way with it. Now if you wanted it to look more square, I guess you could do it that way. Looks a little bit more. See how the different angles, though, really give you some different looks? So give it a try. And that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll bring in the pages again. Oh, wait, I have one more thing to show you. How I did some of this. So this one I looked in the catalog and I practiced a couple of times. This was the hardest part to get. Just make sure you can see that. Because of the way that it's done. And then this is just my gel pen. This is on honey butter. But I wanted to show you like how to do this one. So I just had some little pieces that I thought were about the size. And I just took my metallic pens. And I know you can't get these anymore, but if you go to like an artist grade store, there's a little number right here. Let me see if you can see that. And it's the hashtag 551. Yes, you can see that. And so if you need to replace any of your pens, you can look at that number. You know it's a Jelly Roll metallic, and that's how you determine which number it is. Okay? So I'm going to do try and mimic the drink tea. So these kind of roll really good, right? So you got to kind of, don't have it down too long. And I just practice, practice, practice. And then let it dry. And that's how I did those. And the other color I used was this one, which is 705. And it's kind of more an orange one. I didn't use use it on this color, but we will just for kicks and grins. And so just went around and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, and just practice a little bit. It's really light on there. I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, that's how I did some of this stuff and the products that I use. I love my Close to My Heart products. And I'm going to bring in the pages again. So you can see this is the one that I had to make my own stickers. You can see the black lines, the white lines, those ones that, even though these are done with markers, they still look good next to the pencil work, if you will. Okay. So there's the second page. Oh no, that's the first page, and here's the second page again. And how I did this was I just glued it on and I just cut it off. And kind of think about what, where you're cutting it off. This is kind of the only spot that is really straight on the books. Maybe here too, in between these two. So I kind of used that and just made sure that I had kind of some different, I do have these three are the same book, but it has some variation to it. Okay, that one came out pretty good. Some are better than others. I could still go back and fix that one a little bit. Okay. And I am rambling, so I will say goodbye for now, and thank you much. I hope you could hear, hope you could see, and have a great weekend, and I will see you next week with another video.